Welcome everybody to the Fandom Nights podcast, YouTube channel, everything. Fandom Nights, where we break down pop culture one fandom at a time. I'm Chris.
I'm Marvin.
And I'm the Martian.
And today we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 2, Chepisode 9, Bitter Work.
Just in case my teacher sees this, my name is Dustin, so you can give me credit. Anyways.
Dustin, take us through the story.
What about your little intro?
Oh, I can read the synopsis, but we're going through it.
Your title? Or did you
Oh, I did.
Oh, I did.
Oh, I didn't say that it was released on June 2nd, 2006.
I look forward to this, Chris.
June 2nd, 2006, that was like, I think that's the day or the day before I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right around there. I think it was June 6th, actually, 2006. So, Yep. That shows how old I am. Dustin, let's talk about something Avatar related.
That was 14 years ago. There's been like 4 presidents since. Just kidding, only like 3.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways.
technically 3. Well, technically 4, Joe Biden. No.
Yeah?
We won't get into that.
You're the one who was like, let's only talk
I
about
was
Avatar
literally
stuff.
just thinking about that. If we talk about anything else, I'm gonna cut it and just kibosh it.
So
Right.
It opens with the gang sleeping because from the last episode they needed it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And Aang is excited for learning earthbending, just pumped. And then Toph also as pumped. She comes out of her tent, just like, who's ready for some earthbending?
Yeah.
And so Sokka is still sleeping, and Toph is like, yeah, we'll try to do the earthbending as quietly as possible. I'm like, yeah, we're going to shake the ground as quietly as possible.
I know, exactly. That's why I was glad that she hit, did she hit Katara up, or was it Sokka? Sokka up.
Sleeping bag, yeah.
And then he landed on Katara?
I think he just landed on the ground, because he was still in his sleeping bag.
Oh yeah, then he gets up and storms off. Yeah.
Right. So Aang is like all super excited to start learning all these crazy advanced moves, and Toph is like, let's move a rock first.
Yeah.
And Aang is like, sounds good.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that.
yeah. All right, cool. And then Toph says the key to earthbending is the stance.
Mm-hmm.
And then all I got after that is flashes to a flashback of Iroh, cut to Iroh, and it's a small flashback of Iroh and his son, Tyr. And just as quickly as it pans to the present Iroh, and he said he would love to see his son again someday.
Mm-hmm.
So, just sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything Iroh and sadness, just...
I know. He's like the happiest, like, jolly guy, but he has such a tragic backstory. It's like, geez.
It's like Kyle from Last Man Standing. Just the most happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah.
He's like a dog.
It took me a second. I'm like, who are you talking about? But oh yeah.
Anyways. So Iroh said Azula is crazy and needs to go down to Zuko. He's like,
well, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, or you'd probably tell me that I should get along with my sister. No, she's crazy.
damn, get her out of here. She needs to go down. And he's like, all right, Zuko, you need to begin your training once more.
Mm-hmm. I like this because Zuko's giving him tea, and it's so bad. And I didn't catch this at first, but Rosie caught it. He like sipped the tea. He's like, "Oh, it's actually really good." And he throws it out the window behind him.
Yeah.
It happens so quick. I'm like, did I just see that?
And pans back to Team Avatar, and Katara points out to Toph that she's been teaching Aang for a while now. And he reacts with positive reinforcement and gentle nudges in the right direction. And Toph responds with, thanks, Katara. I'll try that. And immediately just goes all boot camp drill sergeant.
All right, Twinkle Toes.
I put this on here. Toph is pushy, lol.
Toph is pushy.
Pushy?
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Well, she's just constantly, like, literally pushing him. Like, you need to get your stance right. Get your stance right. And just push. And he's just so airy.
Make sure he's steady.
Right, yeah. And her version of teaching, like, seems all harsh, but, like, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Especially to an airbender who's all floaty and, not sturdy with his stance and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite of training he's used to, and that's like the complete Earth is the complete opposite of air.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little tidbit for knowledge.
Just so you know.
Just so you know.
Earth is heavy and air is not.
So then it goes through these collage of scenes of Aang slowly learning and getting better with all these different earthbending techniques. Sokka goes out and looks for food and falls into a hole.
Oh my god.
I wrote those down as 2 earthbending because I thought that Toph was messing with him at first.
Oh, really?
Because he like went into the ground and then he like went to attack it again and it went into the ground again. So I thought Toph was like.
Well, Toph was there the whole time, remember?
But in that.
I know. I'm joking.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
I was
joking.
like, wait a minute, no.
I'm just trying to tease you now. I just thought that was good though. Falls into a hole. So what did Sokka do this episode? He was in a hole.
I know. But I don't know. We'll get to it. But he learns a lot.
He does. He does learn a lot. He swore to become a vegetarian too. Oh, I thought this was confusing though. It cuts back to Iroh, and he says lightning is a calm form of firebending.
Does he say that?
Yeah, I swear. I could be wrong, but I swear he says lightning is the calm form of firebending.
Let me check the quotes.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but so Iroh lightning bending was cool to see. Zuko fails.
Yeah, is this when he tries to lightning bend? The first, and
Yeah.
he's just like, it exploded in my face, just like everything always does. And like you're like, man, we're just learning some firebending here, like. But
Really?
he's going through so much, and that's what the cool thing about this episode is Zuko's going through so much turmoil, and obviously Iroh brings this up later, but he's going through so much turmoil that like him trying to split those 2 cheese or whatever,
Right.
there's so much turmoil in him that he can't even do that, and he's losing it in this episode. Zuko is starting to lose it in this episode.
Oh yeah.
And it. Again, like I said last episode, when Zuko loses it, I'm like, it just connects me with the episode so much, and this is a really good one because man, Zuko hit hard sometimes.
So the exact quote that you're looking for, Dustin, is lightning is a pure expression of firebending without aggression. It is not fueled by rage or emotion the way other firebending is. Some call lightning the cold-blooded fire. It is,
A synonym for everything you're just saying would
Well,
be calm.
he says it is precise and deadly like Azula. To perform the technique requires peace of mind.
Which is interesting because Azula is just like rage-filled, I feel like, all the time, but maybe not. Maybe I'm reading her wrong.
Once again, precise and deadly.
I think she fuels on the rage though. That's how. Like I don't know what I was watching, but something. She was like, it was Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She was like, I fuel on dysfunction. Sounds like some people must just fuel on weird things. I don't know.
In that same quote is Zuko responds, "I see. That's why we're drinking tea to calm the mind." And I was like, "Ah, yes, good point."
Yeah, good point. I mean, yes.
Well, you know what would have been really cool to see Zuko and Korra like making some tea or something, or maybe he did. I just don't remember. But to see him making some like jasmine tea or something like that,
That would be cool.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the story. Toph's test of the boulder. You gotta stop this boulder before it comes down. Oh yeah, it's a little easy. Let me put that blindfold on you.
Don't you think you should take it a little easy on him? Oh, or no, isn't there an easier way to do this? Oh, actually there is. Or a better way, yeah.
Isn't there a better
Blindfold
way?
him.
Blindfold. Pans back to Iroh, and Iroh basically says that Zuko must let go of his shame in order, like you were saying, split the 2 cheese. You gotta let go of your shame and let go of everything you're worried about in order to, like, I don't know, advance forward in life, I guess.
This was my wise saying for this episode too. I mean, Iroh's just wise all over the place, but
especially now that he's getting a lot more screen time.
Yeah, and he's like in the teacher role and stuff.
I know.
Now Zuko's actually willing to learn stuff from him and everything instead of Zuko thinking he's, whatever. But Iroh says in this, pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. And I'm like, yeah, like you think pride and shame are completely opposites, but it's no, you can't have shame unless you have pride and it's broken. It's kind of like it reminds me of the saying, like when people talk about love and like, what's the opposite of love? It's not hate, it's indifference. Like this saying reminded me of the same type of like, oh yeah, it's not the opposite of that. But no, very wise, Iroh.
Depth with Chris. Sokka makes a new friend, and it's that little saber-tooth mouth lion thing.
Yeah, the whole time I'm like, what the heck is this? I'm gonna have to look it up. And then Aang comes in and he's like, oh, what does he say to Egg?
It's a saber-tooth moose lion.
Yeah.
Or moose lion.
A baby saber-tooth moose lion cub.
Right. But he vows to be a vegetarian, like I said earlier, if he makes it out of this alive.
Yeah.
Which he does, so we gotta count to see how many times he eats meat the rest of the time.
Oh.
Or see if he truly is a vegetarian.
What if
do we
is?
see him eat meat the rest of this series?
We'll have to
keep track.
keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. Yes.
He's like learning through my
No.
computer.
It's
Yep.
specifically you see him eating meat during the Ember Island play, like in between
okay.
scenes.
It could be tofu. So Katara points out, or no, I don't think it was Katara. Yeah, Katara points out that Earth is the natural opposite of air, and that's why it's so hard for Aang to learn Earthbending. And then it cuts to Iroh, and he says that fire is the element of power. The Fire Nation has desire and the will and the energy to achieve what they want. Earth is of substance. They are persistent and enduring. They are very diverse and strong. Air is the element of freedom and detached from worldly concerns, and they also have good senses of humor.
Yeah.
Water is the element of change, and it can adapt to many changes that are filled with community and love, and holds them together through anything. So very spiritual people.
Yeah.
He also says it is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale.
Yeah. And I like how Zuko's like, this sounds like Avatar talk, and he's like all doctrinal about it, but the only way all these four societies were meant to live in harmony together, and that's what Iroh's getting at. Like, it's not meant to be the Fire Nation ruling everyone like you've been taught. That's why I'm kind of introducing you to all this stuff, and that it was just good. Again, you can see Zuko at least hearing it now, and then he'll like start putting it into practice later. But
when I was listening to this conversation, it almost made me think of when it's actually a project I'm working on for school too, but it reminded me of Han and Chewie from Force Awakens when they first come on the Falcon and they say, Chewie, we're home. And then they're telling Rey and Finn all about Luke and the Jedi and how it's all real and stuff like that. And I just kind of felt the same way where Iroh's just like, this is how the way it is, and like this is the truth, essentially. Yeah. And same with like Han telling Finn and Rey, like, all the stories with the Jedi, it's literally all true. Yeah. And it's so crazy for Han too, because he was the most hardened, like, none of this mumbo jumbo stuff is real, and then he lives through all this experience with the Skywalkers, and he's like, it's all true, like everything.
Which is kind of like Iroh too, because he heard all these stories and stuff, but he's like, no, this is the way, we're gonna conquer, we're gonna be the ruling nation. But then when he gets broken down and his son dies and he has to go through this whole spiritual journey and stuff, he's like, whoa, no, the Avatar and the four elements living in harmony, it's all true. Like, he learned all that stuff. Right. Yeah, it's just cool seeing getting a glimpse into his spirituality.
Super into Han Solo. Iroh loses his son, and Han Solo technically loses his son to the dark side. And that's when they begin their spiritual path down a new realization.
I don't know how spiritual Han got, but okay.
I mean, he went back to smuggling.
You're right.
He went right back
to his true self. He discovered his true sense.
But yeah, there's a good parallel between that scene. I didn't put that together. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
So after that, the technique that Iroh is going to show Zuko next is waterbending influenced. And then it cuts right back to the gang, and they notice that Sokka isn't back yet, so they go out and look for Sokka. And then all of a sudden, Aang just like stumbles upon Sokka, and doesn't like proceed to try to get him out or anything. Just starts talking to him about his problems for the day.
I like when he literally sits down next to him, like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here, man. I just need someone to vent to, man. Today is just
like,
sucks.
Oh, that's fine."
Yeah, he just keeps saying like,
I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Oh yeah, that must
really suck, man. I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, when he's stuck in there before Aang comes, he's like, "Oh, I'm always the meat and sarcasm guy, but I'm going to be the veggies and straight talk guy." and then as soon as Aang comes, he's like, "Aang, do you got any meats?" Just instantly switches.
So maybe he does. It was a good thought, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Aang was giving this speech to Sokka about the trouble he's having.
Oh, and we skipped over the Toph taking just really really pushing Aang and being a bully because she needs him to stand up for himself in order to be an Earthbender.
This is where she takes his staff.
Yeah,
right?
she takes his staff
starts
and
cracking some
is
nuts.
cracking they're using it as a nutcracker. And Aang's like, "Oh, stop! No, it's a delicate instrument." And it just reminded me of that one scene in the one episode where Aang pried off a steel grate with the thing.
Dude, he's done so many things with that staff.
He pried off a steel grate, he stabs it into cliff sides. He's like, "Oh, it's a delicate instrument. It can't crack a nut." Yeah, Aang, you're fine. It's fine.
He uses it to airbend fireballs from the Fire Nation left and right. Yeah. Like, nope, this is a delicate antique instrument.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, Sokka has this new pal called Fufu Cuddly Poops.
I forgot about that.
Fufu Cuddly Poops, meet Aang.
Yes, the saber-toothed moose lion cub that he met. So then it cuts back to Zuko, and he tells him that the waterbenders deal with the flow of energy, and that the stomach is called the Sea of Chi. But in Iroh's case, it's a vast ocean. Iroh tells him to feel the flow. And he waves his arms like that.
They're both practicing. He's like, "You got it? You got it?" Doing the
feel the flow. Feel the flow. So Zuko thinks he's ready to deal with real lightning. And Iroh's like, "Are you crazy? That's dangerous. I'm not going to shoot lightning at you. I hope you never have to use this ability." And Zuko, being stubborn as he is, he leaves Iroh once more. Yep. With no hesitation, mind you.
He's just ready to just
drop
him.
I'm ready to kill Azula now. Bye.
Yeah. This is the guy who's the type of student who's yeah, we've been training with these wooden swords all day. Give me a real one. Dude, you've been here for 3 hours. Calm down.
I'm not gonna shoot lightning at you.
It's I'm not gonna shoot a gun at you.
So then we get the scene of Aang facing the mother moose lion saber-tooth thing, whatever.
Those things get scary.
So big, man.
Dude, that was a house.
Yeah.
That was frightening. I was like, oh man, they're in. I thought it was a Pokemon, to be honest, at first.
It totally looks like one.
But, so
the
yeah.
evolved form of the moose lion.
Aang keeps evading and evading or whatever, and then finally, he finally gets this look in his eyes, and he starts, and he stands his ground, and it pans to Toph, who's apparently been sitting there the whole time.
He still airbends, but he does an earthbending stance because his stance is good, and he does the move that Toph wanted him to use against the rock, but he airbends, and then Toph's sitting there,
Right, and you see Toph smirk. I love those cool anime just half side face shots of the smirking.
One little
just so Aang learns the Toph's lesson, and then Sokka's like, "Okay, can you guys get me out of here?" And Aang's like, "No problem, buddy." And Toph's like, "Whoa, you're still a little early. You might crush him." Let me do this, man.
I love how the whole bullying thing. She's bullying him so he stands up for himself, and as soon as he does stand up for himself,
gets a stab.
Earthbend right now. Whoa, what are you talking about? Just do it. You're in this right frame of mind. Do it, and he does it, and it just pays off so well. The whole setup and payoff of this episode.
Right.
And then the next scene is Aang saying, "Katara, look what I can do," and he cuts a boulder in half. And then Katara goes over to Toph and he's like, "You tried the positive reinforcement there, didn't you?" And Toph was like, "Yep."
That was the funniest part of the episode because Sokka's I was stuck in the ground all day and it was really hard, but you know what? I learned, and then Aang cuts him off. Katara, look what I learned. The whole Sokka story, just everything he learned, everything he went through the day, just gets cut off.
Nothing.
I love it so much. Oh gosh.
The final scene is it cuts to Zuko on top of the mountain and in the middle of a lightning storm, and he's begging the lightning to strike him so he can practice the redirect thing. And I said Zuko is just dangerously low at this point in life. He's just seeking power or any kind of, I don't even know what he's seeking. Seeking power, but
I don't think
assurance.
He's getting desperate. And
oh yeah.
This scene is the first time so far. Okay. This scene is the first time so far that I've gotten a little bit emotional watching this show. Like, you know, like when you kind of get emotional, it's like, oh, it's rising up, and then it's gone. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this scene when he's yelling at the sky, basically at the universe or God or whatever in this situation, like, strike me, you've never held back before. Like,
bruh.
the heck was that? Strike me, you've never held back before. And he's just yelling that, like, the universe has never held back at all or stopped, and he's always been downtrodden his entire life, and now the one time he wants it to strike him because he wants to learn something from it or whatever, it again doesn't work for him. And it just, like, and it's raining and stuff, and then all of a sudden he closes his eyes and that tear falls out of his eye, like, you know, cry in the shower so no one can see your tears or whatever type of thing.
Right.
Like, that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first time he really just lets loose and, like, lets himself, like, feel all these conflicting things. So again, it just shows how he's opening up, but he's being more himself now than he ever has been.
Do you think maybe this
hiding.
is his lowest point?
So far, yes. I don't remember if he gets any lower, but I think this, if I remember right, I think this is kind of his lowest point, and he starts building up from here. Obviously, he goes back to the Fire Nation and even with his sister and all that stuff again, but I think from this point on, he starts kind of building on extra layers. You know, like he's been,
because then when they go to Bossy and say he's actually like a good person for quite a while.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there is.
I think this might be his lowest point, and he's just angry at the universe, angry at everything. And again, we've all kind of been there, especially at Zuko's age in your teenage years. You're just angry because you're angry, and you don't know why, and you haven't figured it out yet.
Imagine going through all this growth and living so poor or whatever, you know, compared to what they royalty, and then all of a sudden Azula's like, again, like, you're welcome back home, like, father wants you back, and he falls for it again, like, later down the road. So it's just like, in a blink of an instant, no matter how much character growth, sometimes what you desperately wanted before is still in the back of your mind. So his honor is still there.
I don't know. The whole Zuko journey is just, everyone's talked about it, but it's what makes this show so great, you know, and I don't know. This scene really, like, hit me hard. I'm like, man, all right, yep. And it for me, even though it didn't pay off at all, it had so much payoff for me because it's just him training, just like Aang is training. Aang trains, he gets all his powers. He's like, oh, look what I can do. Like, everything's great in my world. But in his world, he trains and trains. He does this move with Iroh over and over again. He doesn't get to test it out. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go test it out myself. And he goes and does it himself. He still doesn't get to test it out. I was like watching that end scene, and I'm like, oh, so this is where the lightning's going to strike him, and he's going to be like, yeah, I am powerful, but it, like, ends just like, and it's done. And it's the perfect way it could have ended, because if he would have gotten struck by lightning and he would have redirected it or something like that, it would have just been him proving, like, see, I am powerful and I can be like Azula. But no, he needs to be something better than Azula, and that's what this ending of the episode turned into for me. So because it didn't pay off, I feel like it paid off even more in my opinion. So yeah, very good episode. I really like this one. So oh man, the last episode I didn't even go through bending numbers. Oh crap. Dang, we're just off our game today. I'm sorry. Just really quick, last episode. 10 of water, 18 of earth, 58 of fire, and 12 of airs. All right, done.
You can ignore that because they'll have no
That's for Chepisode 8.
Yeah.
If you listen to this far into this episode and you're wondering about the bending numbers from the last episode, there you go.
I might edit it into it or something like that. Okay. Let's go through and rate the episode because I gotta count these.
This episode was a training and learning episode for both Aang and Zuko. They both learned new skills. The only difference is being that Aang had the right moment to learn with his friend in danger, and Zuko seeked out his danger and it didn't attack the lightning, and therefore he failed and didn't really get the true message, which is, well, he has to be better than Azula, or just patience in general, I guess, too. The rising action is Sokka getting stuck, even if the whole gang, but Sokka realizes it. I would say that the rising action, that's the rising action for the plot. The climax is when Sokka is in danger from the Moose Lion Club thing. Moose Lion Club?
Saber-toothed lion moose cub.
Well, from the mother, not
baby
the cub.
saber-toothed lion moose cub.
Ooh. The following action would be Aang learning to hold his ground and learning to be steady, having his stance, and then probably for Zuko not learning and being patient and failing. They each train in some way but failed in the outcome. Because, yes, Aang did airbend and learn the stance, but he didn't earthbend, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But he learned what it takes to be an earthbender,
Right,
so
right.
he definitely had quantifiable character growth, you know. So what would you rate that overall arc of this one? Because there's a lot of arcs, but because there's so many arcs and because they all weave in together so well, and the parallels between Zuko's training and Aang's, like, I rated this a 10. Like, it was just perfect story arc, in my opinion, but...
I'll do a 9.
Okay.
Just because nothing in this world is perfect but God.
So we're never rating anything 10. Got it. Execution. Pacing, vision, and was it overall entertaining? I rated it a 10 again because
9.9.
I'm like,
Nothing's perfect. But God
gosh.
is well. It's so easy to irritate.
So, because the pacing I thought was good, even the cuts back and forth. Sometimes you're like, I just want to look at this one character, like stop going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, again, because of the parallels, was good, and the vision of it, like the overall vision of the series. This episode has payoff in that because it builds to the overall series, you know. But,
I could agree.
so, what would you rate the execution of the plot?
9.
Okay. And then the writing.
9.
9. Okay. Characters and originality, all that stuff. Nothing's ever perfect.
Nothing's ever perfect.
What are you gonna? I feel like you're just doing this to mess with me.
It can't be perfect, Chris. Unless it's the finale of the series, that's perfect. Or like the finale of the seasons, those are perfect. But these random episodes, not perfect.
Really? I feel like the random episodes can be more perfect than the finale because there's so much writing on the finales.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
that's why it's so anticipated and so loved.
Okay, so the performance for me, the delivery, was it effective, emotional, or plausible? 10.
You didn't even put 10 for most of these.
Well, yeah. 'Cause
So, here's...
for me, the arc and the execution and all that stuff. That was all 10s, but you went 9s.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, Chris.
What are 9s for you?
The highest,
I'm ranking.
even on IMDb, the highest rated episode for this entire series is only a 9.9. Nothing gets a 10.
Yeah. I know.
Nothing can be
obviously,
perfect.
Nothing's gonna be perfect, but I'm saying
However,
giving it a 10.
the very last episode is a 9.9.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm saying nothing can be
Give it a
perfect, but
9.9.
nothing can be perfect, but aspects of an episode can be perfect, in my opinion. Like the arc of this episode, in my opinion, was perfect. But I don't know.
You could, if we wanted to sit here off screen and nitpick, I
Yeah,
could find
yeah,
some
yeah.
little problem that didn't make
Right.
it perfect. So.
Right. So the delivery, emotional, effective, plausible. Again, this was a heavy Zuko episode, and his whole resolution, not resolution thing, and the emotion behind everything he said, and Aang learning and all this different stuff. I gave it a 10 out of that. The action, that one I rated lower because like the blocking and the stunts and where everyone was all the time, and it just seemed kind of all over the place to me, but that's just my opinion, so I just thought it was passable, so 7. And then the believability, so the character development, the presence, and how they interpreted their characters, I rated a 10. It was really good. Great performances.
I mean,
It's very emotional.
Zuko was a little complaining, but
When isn't he though? Like
that's his
he's always
character,
complaining
though.
about something.
That's his character.
there's a
though.
nitpick.
Except for
Not perfect.
except for the episode Zuko alone, he doesn't actually like outwardly complain about anything. He just like sulks the whole time.
Yeah. Okay, so Sherman, the production, the sound, score, music, mix, everything. I thought it was just passable. I just give it a 7.
Yeah, because like I mean, listen, yeah, I need a picture of this or something.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Sound. I mean, this one like I enjoyed the. I'm gonna give this one an 8 because like I love the little like comedic stuff that they do with Sokka, because like adding those just made that like every part of like each one of his little like snippets even better.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, he's
He was just there for the comedic effect, which was very needed in this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
All the stuff
especially
happening.
especially after the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you go from
I just want to be in the writers' room where they're like, we gotta do something that's funny in this episode. Well, Sokka's not doing much.
You have Zuko alone, and then the chase.
Let's just put him in a hole.
That's actually probably what they did.
What is Sokka gonna do? Let's get him stuck in a hole. Perfect character arc here.
The visuals, framing, camera motion, editing, all that stuff.
I'd give this one. I'd give it an 8.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a ton of like crazy bending in this one.
Yeah.
But like, when Zuko's like out by himself, like, and he runs away, like seeing him like in a storm is like was super cool. Yeah. It's like literally the world is crying on this guy. Like,
I was hoping a music video would just start breaking out. But the Pokemon theme song. I wanna be the very best.
No, because like he just feels broken.
Searching for
so like no, it'd be like some like super sad ballad because like when like he doesn't get hit by lightning, he's just sitting there like it'd be like some like.
I wonder if he was trying to kill himself in that moment. Actually, now that I say
highly unlikely.
Now that I say that, I think that I've seen a fan theory where someone was saying that he was trying to kill himself right there because he's at his lowest point. Obviously, if he would have not killed himself and pulled off the move, he would have been just as happy. But he's like, I either want to die or pull off this move. Like, I need to. One of those things is going to happen.
So those, I mean, once again, I'm trying. So not going off any goofs for editing. Yeah, like I'd keep this one at an 8.
Okay.
Like there wasn't anything like super weird about this one.
Yeah. That's what I rated it too.
But what did you notice, Sherman?
Did you see any goofs?
I didn't actually notice this when I saw somebody pointed it out though, and I was like, I didn't even notice that one. But because like when Toph takes Sokka's belt to like use as a blindfold, there's another belt.
Oh really?
In the background, yeah.
That was a belt. It was just a piece of cloth. It was a belt.
He doesn't like. That's all they use.
I think the belt is more or less a concept, more of a design.
Okay.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Whatever goes around your waist is a belt, really.
Whatever, keeps your clothes up. I don't know.
Whatever keeps your clothes up. Instead of whatever floats your boat, whatever keeps your clothes up. And then the effects, the sets, props, visual effects, whatever.
I'm gonna keep this one at an 8. Like there wasn't anything like major. I did like the sets out like with the fact that like the story kept it at a parallel between like Aang and Zuko's like training at the same time, like similar settings on like where they are. I guess like they're all in like a deserty area anyways, but
okay, and then overall, what will we all rate this one? I'm just gonna say 9 because no, it's not perfect because there are issues that I have like with some minor things, but writing and story wise, it's almost perfect in my opinion. But I'd just say 9 because nothing's ever perfect.
Nope, you're correct. Good observation. I'll do an 8.9.
Okay.
I was gonna say 8.5, but all right. Nothing like major besides like Zuko's like. You know,
I think we have to decide on a solid number, like just for this one, because it just makes it a little hard to rate the final thing. But so,
if we're having to choose single numbers, I'm gonna choose an 8.
An 8?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Yes.
8.5.
It makes the math easier.
Yeah, just do 8.5.
That's the whole purpose. So 8. You said 8.5. You said 8.8. And I said 9, so 8.8 basically. So yeah. So it's a 8.6. Excuse me. 8.6 total. All right.
Chris, do you got bending numbers for this episode?
I do have. Thank you for reminding me. In this episode, there was 3 of water, 32 of earth. Very earth heavy episode. Only 3 of fire, and then 12 of air. So, yeah, gross.
Is that you?
I didn't even fart or anything. That was literally just my stomach rumbling.
Whoa!
It's like from one side. I kind of hope that picked up on
sounded
the
over there. on that side. I thought it was a fart.
So yeah, that was the bending numbers in this episode. Dustin, take us out. Please.
What were we talking about? Oh, they're smelling over here.
Get us out of this episode.
Get us out of here. This is terrible. All right, thank you guys for watching and listening to this episode of Fandom Nights, of our coverage of our walkthrough of Avatar, Last Airbender. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and join our Facebook group, and subscribe to iTunes and Spotify podcasts. Anyways. And, I think that's about it, guys.
Yep.
So, thank you, guys. Appa.
Yep.